Okay, class, if you haven't already, please go back and watch the how to use a breadboard circuits, how to use a breadboard video that I provided, where I just show you how to plug in a battery to a breadboard and how to make that work. That's an important first step before watching this video. In this video, we are going to be connecting a button um, to an Arduino, and we're going to use that button to run an LED. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to take you back through the blink. Blink is the very first thing that we did, and we're going to blink an extra LED with our Arduino. So I'm in a new setup and I'm going to add an Arduino. Okay. There is a nice thing here. You can shrink to fit. It'll kind of fill the screen. It basically fills your whole circuit, whatever it is, will fit on this. Now remember in class we looked at whenever you add an Arduino, the very first thing that you do when you're doing a microcontroller, it's the hello world of working with microcontrollers, is you blink a light. It's like running the hello world of microcontrollers. And whenever you add the Arduino, if you go to the code editor, you'll find that there's already C code down here. This C code is a little program called blink. And it's going to blink this little LED on the light. So let's just first make sure that everything's working okay. And we hit upload and run. Okay, and it's working. The simulator's running and our LED is blinking off and on, off and on. Okay. Now, what is happening is we had a variable, and this is a typed variable, which we talked about in class. The type is an integer, so it's expecting a number, and we gave it a name, and the name is just LED. And the number 13 has two places on this board. It will blink this LED, and it is connected to this little pin. This is called a pin, or a place where you put a pin, actually, here on the board. Okay. In our setup, we're telling that pin, we're telling pin 13, we're saying you are going to be output. You're not going to take in any inputs. We're going to just send output to you. We're going to see that when we add the button that we can add input. We can look for input. Then this part in our void loop is going to run forever. It's going to go to pin 13 and it's going to turn it high, which turns the LED on. It's going to wait 1,000 milliseconds, which is 1 second, and then it's going to tell pin 13 go low or turn yourself off, and it's going to wait 1 second and do that again. And that is what we saw happening on the onboard LED. Turns on for a second, turns off for a second. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we know I've just told you that this LED and pin 13 are doing the same thing. So what we're going to do as in this first video is we're going to add another LED. When we do that, we're going to use a breadboard. I like to use the small one. Just going to add it there. I'm going to zoom back out. Maybe move this guy around so that I can see stuff. Okay. Now I'm also going to rotate my Arduino just so it's easier to show the connections. Okay. All right, and we're going to need an extra LED. Now don't use the RGB LED. It has an extra input. We're not covering that right now. We're just going to use the plain LED. I'm going to plug it. One side goes into one of these rows and the other side goes into another row. Okay. Now, ground, or returning back to the negative side of the battery, is called ground. So I want to connect the ground of my board to the negative side on my breadboard, or connect the ground on my Arduino to the negative side on my breadboard. What turns and then I'm going to connect, now I forget, see, when you light up an LED, it has to be in the correct side, and I forget which side, so we're going to try it one way. If it doesn't work, we'll try it the other way. So let me connect this side. Okay, so now I'm going to turn this black. So now I'm going from this side of my LED through here back to ground. The positive side is handled from 13. Now in the previous video, I was running everything off of the battery, so I ran everything to here. I ran the positive to here, but in this side, I only want to turn on one thing at a time. So I'm going to just attach this guy to right there. Okay, now what this means is when it turns on, it's going to send electricity through one side of the LED, which is then going to go through this and then back to the board. And that completes a circuit. See how there's a way for the electricity to flow? Now let's see if I've plugged my LED in correctly for the sides, because I always forget. All right, so we'll upload and run. All right, it looks like I've done it correctly. So we should see the light on here is turning on and the light on here turns on at the same time. Now if I'd done it incorrectly, if I'd connected this side to that and this side to that, now we're going through, oh, sorry. Now we're, okay, move that guy over there. Now I still have a circuit, but it's going through the LED in the opposite direction. LEDs are one way. They only work one way. And so this, when I start the simulation, should not work over here. This one is still going to turn off and on, but this one isn't. So what we've learned is whatever we send to pin 13, this is called pin 13, whatever we send there is also going to show up there, and vice versa. All right, so I'm going to stop the simulation. I'm going to put it back the way it needs to go. All right. Okay, so that's going to be video number 1. In the next video, I'm going to show you how to add a button to this. And the button we're going to change which pin we're using for output, and we're going to make a button press. We're going to use our control flow. We talked about control flow, which is like if then else. Those type of things. We're going to use control flow in our C programming. We're going to change our C program a little bit, and we are going to have a button that we press to turn an LED off and on. All right, see you next video.